The world knows Chuck Norris as the ultimate symbol of strength, invincibility, and unstoppable action. Six-time world karate champion, star of countless action films, and the face behind countless internet jokes about superhuman feats. Yet behind the memes, the trophies, and the cinematic bravado lies a life shaped by hardship, fear, and resilience. The invincible image hides a boy who endured violence, neglect, and invisibility, a man whose path to mastery was forged in pain and discipline rather than instant glory. Understanding Chuck Norris requires looking beyond the roundhouse kicks and catchphrases into a journey defined by survival, self-mastery, and the quiet battles that no martial arts title could ever erase. His story is one of transformation, courage, and the forging of a legend against all odds. Childhood in a violent home, Chuck Norris was born Carlos Ray Norris on March 10, 1940, in Ryan, Oklahoma, into a household marked by fear, poverty, and violence. His father, Ray Norris, a World War II veteran and mechanic, was a raging alcoholic whose fists often replaced affection. Chuck's early life was a daily exercise in survival, learning to shrink, hide, and make himself invisible to avoid punishment. His mother, Wilma, tried to shield her sons but had little power against Ray's temper. From broken furniture to verbal abuse, Chuck absorbed lessons of worthlessness and helplessness that would echo through his life. School offered no refuge. Shy and stammering, he drifted unseen, a ghost among peers. Poverty compounded the trauma, with constant relocations leaving him homeless and hungry. This childhood, steeped in fear and invisibility, planted the seeds of determination and resilience that would later define him. Escaping home through the Air Force. At 18, Chuck sought escape from his abusive household by joining the United States Air Force, not out of patriotism, but desperation. Military life promised structure and distance, yet Chuck found himself confronting new forms of insecurity. Stationed at Osan Air Base in South Korea, he was assigned as a military policeman, a position that offered authority but not confidence. Isolated, far from home, he struggled with loneliness and invisibility, still haunted by his father's voice telling him he was worthless. Letters to his mother went unsent, a silent testament to his inner turmoil. Even in uniform, Chuck was the same shy, scrawny boy from Oklahoma. It was in this environment, on a rare day off, that he first glimpsed martial arts through a Korean dojang. Watching disciplined fighters, he discovered a language for his body and emotions, offering a path towards self-worth he had never experienced before. Discovery of martial arts. Chuck's first encounter with martial arts was transformative. Observing men move with precision and grace, he saw strength that wasn't born of rage, unlike the violence of his childhood. The master, Tang Soo-do, welcomed him despite Chuck's trembling and insecurity, teaching him that strength came from discipline, persistence, and self-mastery rather than dominance. Chuck struggled initially, clumsy and weak, but each class reinforced the value of effort over talent. Nightly training became a personal sanctuary where failure no longer equaled shame but growth. Pain and discipline merged into a new philosophy. Mastery of self preceded mastery over others. Martial arts offered a framework for transforming trauma into power, giving Chuck a sense of control and dignity he had never known. Over months of relentless practice, he began to feel capable, gradually replacing fear with purpose and laying the foundation for the warrior he would become. Early struggles back home. Returning to America in 1962, Chuck faced a society unfamiliar with Korean martial arts. His black belt carried no prestige in the United States, and he struggled to find recognition while supporting his young family. Working as a file clerk at Northrop Aviation, he felt the old shame creeping back, echoing his father's harsh judgments. Yet even in this modest life, he committed to nightly training, practicing kicks and forms in silence, proving to himself that his journey in Korea had not been a dream. The first steps toward independence and self-validation came slowly. In 1964, desperation pushed him to open a small karate school in Torrance, California. Weeks of empty classrooms tested his resolve, but he persisted, teaching with discipline, respect, and intensity, gradually attracting students who valued his dedication and philosophy. These years defined persistence as the bridge between obscurity and recognition. Rise in competitive karate. By the late 1960s, Chuck Norris began entering tournaments, his disciplined approach translating into measurable success. His victories were not flashy but precise, methodical, and commanding. He became a 6-time world middleweight karate champion, defeating legendary fighters and building an unmatched competitive record. Yet even at the peak of his dominance, trophies did not erase the echoes of childhood fear or financial struggle. The accolades brought recognition within martial arts circles, but the wider world remained largely unaware of his talent. This period highlighted the difference between mastery and fame. The first could be earned through effort, while the latter often relied on opportunity. Chuck's relentless pursuit of excellence, rooted in self-discipline and resilience, prepared him for challenges beyond the dojo, teaching him that persistence is often more powerful than talent alone. Hollywood breakthrough. Despite his accomplishments in martial arts, Hollywood initially resisted Chuck Norris. Casting directors dismissed him as too stiff, plain, or lacking charisma. Years of auditions ended in rejection, leaving him questioning his path. The turning point came in 1968, when Bruce Lee, impressed by Chuck's skill and authenticity, invited him to train and later cast him in Way of the Dragon. Their iconic fight scene in Rome's Colosseum cemented Chuck's status as a legitimate martial artist on film, combining precision, intensity, and authenticity. Yet this triumph was bittersweet. Bruce Lee's sudden death in 1973 left Chuck mourning a mentor and friend. The loss underscored the fragility of life and the emotional stakes behind every public success, teaching him resilience and the need to honor those who shaped him through continued dedication to his craft. The meme phenomenon and enduring legacy. In the 2000s, Chuck Norris became a global meme, celebrated for exaggerated feats of invincibility. These Chuck Norris facts transformed him from action star to internet legend, introducing him to new generations. Despite the humor, the memes also highlighted the public's perception of him as larger than life, masking the decades of struggle, discipline, and personal growth that defined his journey. Beyond jokes, Chuck's legacy is rooted in resilience, self-discipline, and persistence. He transformed a traumatic childhood into a life of mastery, influence, and cultural impact. The memes may exaggerate his power, but the real strength lies in his lifelong determination, courage, and the human story behind the legend. Chuck Norris exemplifies the triumph of persistence, showing that enduring pain, refining skill, and honoring one's path create a legacy that transcends fiction. Conclusion: the human warrior. Chuck Norris's life is far more complex than the memes, films, and trophies suggest. Born into fear and neglect, he transformed trauma into discipline, invisibility into mastery, and rejection into persistence. His path, from a frightened Oklahoma boy to world champion, martial arts pioneer, and cultural icon, was forged through relentless effort and quiet courage. The public sees the invincible fighter, the meme, and the action hero, but beneath that image lies a man who has faced loss, insecurity, and emotional hardship. His story illustrates that true strength is not born of outward victories alone, but of resilience, self-mastery, and the courage to rise repeatedly in the face of life's trials. Chuck Norris is a legend not merely for his skill, but for the human journey behind it.